Welcome to Show Me Your Stack. Today, I'm with Jai Toor, co-founder of DeepLine. Before DeepLine, Jai spent 5 years on growth at Uber, then built data and product at Capchase, Datafold, and Verisha. He sits where growth engineering meets data infrastructure, which is exactly where today's problem lives. Most GTM teams run signal layers on the same 3 inputs: hiring posts, funding rounds, tech stack changes. Everyone scrapes the same sources. Everyone reaches out on the same week, and the signal stops being a signal. Jai is going to walk us through how he uses Claude Code and DeepLine to find the signals nobody else is running. Jai, let's see it.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Rick. So I'm going to share my screen here. And so very tactically, I run every single thing that I do through Claude Code. I send emails through Claude Code, email follow-ups. I do not leave this terminal interface for anything. So what I'm going to run here is what we call our niche signal discovery skill. And I can make this a little bit bigger. And so I can describe it first and then show you. So niche signal discovery will go through the wins and losses, go through our HubSpot wins and losses, and then generate a summary doc and outbound campaign with 100 verified leads and Lemlist. And so that's going to start churning. And what it's doing is we have connectors in the background through our tool DeepLine that connect to HubSpot, that connect to Lemlist, and then find wins and losses. So it has 74 deals in ours. This is going to run on DeepLine, but I can show you the output for a cybersecurity company that we worked with. And cool. So what the actual output comes out as is we typically share it with customers as a markdown doc, just because that's easily shareable. I can run this on a company before actually speaking with them. And so it tries to come up with the 5 really key takeaways. What's the number one signal to look for? What does their ICP actually look like? What we found is what people describe their ICP as, and then what the data might show that their ICP is, differs a little bit. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. Some are strategic, like, oh, we don't want to go into healthcare anymore. Some are actually just things that they don't realize that they're optimizing for when they actually look at wins versus what they think their wins should be. So that's always an interesting part for customers. And then we'll give them actual contacts and leads with verified emails all in one prompt. So this is the output of what we did here. What DeepLine actually adds to this system is it gives you all the API integrations that you need. You only sign up for DeepLine. You get credits, pay as you go, and then it will use those credits to go find the right information from every data source. So what it actually did is it scraped all of the wins and losses customers' websites and find keywords that are unique and differentiated between wins and losses. So it's really important that we also have losses in this. If you only do wins, you get pretty generic information. If you do wins and losses, those are people that you talk to or tried to have an opportunity with. And the difference between the two is where you find a lot of alpha. And so what we've got here is keywords that were on customer websites that indicated that they were more likely to be a win versus a loss. So this one, like FDIC being mentioned, this customer's ICP is consumer fintech. So that generally makes sense. That is keywords on the website. And then it might be who they were hiring before they closed. So if they were hiring fraud leadership or financial operations, those are good fits. And it breaks down all of these into really like tactical scoring models for you. And it also has negative fits. So what was really common on losses that might indicate a company you shouldn't actually spend time on. The top ones, SOC 2 Type 2, this is a proxy for B2B. B2B companies generally prefer this. So that's something that they already kind of know, but very tactical way to know if this is someone you should spend time on. And then this one was interesting. It's if they're building a lot of things in-house and have advanced engineering culture, that might not be the best fit for you guys as well. I'll stop there, Rick. Anything in particular stand out or not make sense?
I mean, this looks great. If you can just kind of tell us about traditionally how this workflow would have been run and how many people it would have taken. Would it have even been possible?
Yeah, so we did this exact workflow for this customer about 6 months ago, and it took a little over a month. And the process was flipped around, right? So we took their entire total addressable market, went and found signals that we thought would be relevant, and then front loaded all of it. So we had to spend way more money to actually get all the signals. So I think we spent over $1,500 on just like raw signal scraping for that particular task. And then we processed it and found not quite, we didn't find everything in here because the keyword discovery piece, coming up with keywords and figuring out what is actually useful on a website. That piece we did manually before. Now the Claude Code system is actually generating a lot of these and then figuring out if they're useful. So it took us over a month and took almost $2,000 in terms of enrichment costs. And now we do it in less than $10 and in about less than 30 minutes. And we get to a very similar outcome. So the outcome that you get is this almost like an outbound score of what keywords are mentioned on the website, tech stack, what they're hiring for, what might be a negative signal. And then you kind of pass this through your organizational expertise and say, is this actually what we want to optimize for? In the initial score that the system delivered, it said HIPAA compliance was a positive factor, but the company had already made a decision to kind of deprioritize healthcare as a vertical for unrelated regulatory reasons. So that was something the model might say is true, but you actually decide is not relevant. Yeah, so I would say it saved about 2 months overall, and the quality is better. And we use this pretty consistently when we run it on a customer and just do this scoring for their outbound. We've averaged about 2x increase in response rates or open rates. A little bit that can be attributed to just better copy being generated by the system, but overall really significant outputs, really low time investment, a much lower cost investment.
Can you expand on the cost investment, considering this probably wouldn't be possible without technology, right?
Yeah.
Not to mention the headcount reduction.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think the companies that we worked with could have done this without an expert previously. You needed to kind of know how to build a propensity model, know how to turn unstructured data into structured data and tie it to an account. So very simply, you make a big table and say, if this website has document authentication as a keyword, give it a 1 versus a 0. And you have to do that for thousands of different signals. That's kind of what Claude Code is doing in the background for you automatically. And that data acquisition piece, because we didn't know what signals mattered, the best solution that you can come up with is sit with the team, hypothesize on what they think is important. For this particular customer, we got a list of, I want to say 40 keywords. And then we had AI go and extract those keywords and see if they were present on the website. And then we did that for everyone. And then we figured out what was actually useful, or we did it on everyone who had an opportunity. So it was a much larger sample size and the results were very similar. I mean, I think the specificity of this version is much higher because we might have had something I forgot the exact keyword we used, but instead of FDIC, which is very specific and tactical, it was open an account was the equivalent that we had. And both of those are consumer finance language, but one is extremely specific, easily testable. And the other is that could mean a bunch of different things, but generally it's correlated with companies that are financial services. So it's, the budget cost is significantly down, especially on data. Now what your value is figuring out what the outcomes that you're optimizing for are. In that case, we were optimizing for closed won, what should they prioritize in terms of accounts? This is a longer sales cycle type product. So top level prioritization was the first priority. And now it's, okay, now which leads within a company should we actually be targeting? And we can actually just take the exact same approach that we did here and say, here are all the leads that were on opportunities that closed. Go look at all of their attributes that we have, go find more information about them. Maybe ones that come from engineering backgrounds are better fits because they understand the problem. So we're going to run this exact same process on leads. We had one customer run it on who's most likely to pick up the phone if you cold call them. The outcome is really what you're optimizing for. And that's where the human expertise comes in of what's the business problem we're trying to solve. And then let Claude Code do all the work to answer that question for you and give you a lightweight model that you don't really need to understand the underlying math for, because you can backtest it and say, if we had used this for the last 6 months, go look at all our data and say what the value prop would have been.
And in this scenario, you don't need a BDR team anymore, do you? I mean, one operator really is going to be sufficient for running the full workflow.
Yes and no. I think what we've actually seen is you get larger BDR teams because the efficiency of a single BDR is now much higher. They're spending much less time getting this raw information. So they're now on calls more often. They're actually launching campaigns and coming up with new strategies to break into these accounts. So let's say they were talking to 20 accounts per day or contacting 20 accounts per day previously. Now they're doing 40 or 80, depending on the size of the business. SMB versus enterprise. So one BDR, the ROI is actually much higher now. So we actually see all of the customers that we work with hire more because the revenue per rep is not much higher.
Oh, so you don't have a next step in the workflow then that does copy personalization and automated outbound.
No, we do. It's all through Claude Code. So I can say
In that case, why do you need a larger BDR team though?
it's for like the meetings and calls. A lot of our customers are doing cold calls, and in
Uh-huh.
industries where like fully automated closes aren't necessarily like good fits for the industry yet.
Got it. You're saying you still need a human to come in after a reply comes in to kind of book the meeting.
Maybe. So we do have customers that got rid of the BDR function and just AEs do everything now, and they're doing more volume. We also have customers that are in like the restaurant space where a fully digital close is not likely in the near term. People want to talk to a person before, and the BDRs are able to move that along. Does that make sense? Is that answering your question correctly?
So you're saying with this technology at this point in time, you still have industries that will require the human operator to step in outside of the workflow to push the needle to get a demo. Is that like for more enterprise or mid-market offerings that
Yeah, I would
require
separate
high?
it into like
Well,
fully
yeah.
enterprise and SMB plus mid market. If it's like over 50K and over 6 months sales cycles, they're doing a lot of different things. BDRs are still useful in terms of like getting information from different places and kind of orchestrating the campaigns and making sure that things are getting done. Phone calls are still the most valuable tool in the arsenal from our perspective. So there's value there. For the mid market and smaller deal sizes, depending on like the target customer, I think it differs. We have a PLG company that removed BDRs from their flow because the win rate was just higher with AEs, account executives just getting qualified leads from the PLG flow, as well as this outbound automated flow. So if your ACV is still low, but it's like a AE friendly close, that's a good model. You don't really need a BDR for that. And then we have like high volume, low ACV, big TAM, all restaurants, for example. And those folks are actually doing more touches, more phone calls because the win rate on those is so much higher. So the value is so much higher. So yeah, I think you nailed it. It's kind of like dependent on the industry. I might not like talking to a rep to buy software. In fact, I don't, and I'm not the one that is going to be responding to cold calls. But I like empirically, we are seeing cold calls are still extremely effective, especially in industries that I think I didn't expect them to be. We have a company that we've worked with in like the data analytics, data visualization space. So they're selling to like chief data officers or VPs of data, and cold calls still work. So I think it really depends on the type of customer you're working with.
And do you think the cold calls will at some point be replaced with AI, an AI avatar of a BDR?
There will be some cases. I think it again goes back to like who's your buyer. A restaurant owner who might not trust that the AI agent is actually like, one, do they know if it's an AI agent or not? Do they care? Yeah, the videos are getting good, but I think what I would say is like I'm almost going like maybe it's the like optimist in me, but I think relationships are mattering more in specific industries. Like if I want to buy your product and I already know exactly what I want and I know what I'm doing, we're seeing this a lot in like the developer tooling space where Claude Code just makes a recommendation and that's the database we're going to go with. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time. I don't want to talk to a sales rep. When we get to a scale that it matters and we need an enterprise contract, we'll talk. But to start, I don't want to talk to someone. And so any automated flow will work for me. We don't see that in every industry. Larger contracts are always going to have relationships, and relationships are at the end of the day like what you're building here. So there are transactional businesses where you can get away with it, and AI agents will take those over for sure. I think the other types of businesses or relationship heavy ones will be where we see a lot of the value. Cool. In the background here, it's creating a Lemlist campaign. So you can have that in the skill as well. We try to do a lot of human in the loop structure of make sure that you're able to confirm something before the agent does anything. And I strongly recommend everybody start there just to build trust in the system. But yeah, so we make sure that it doesn't start with a sender attached. You get the lead list in here. It's pre-qualified. So this was just generated from the campaign that I added in the CLI. And it comes up with the sequence as well. Perfect. Yeah. So it can go end to end. It's kind of on you to see where you want it to step in, where you're spending time. And the systems are good enough to where they can do every step of the flow now. And it's on the GTM engineers, the RevOps team to figure out what's the biggest win, where we can add the most value. Cool. Anything else that would be helpful?
Any kind of results you can talk us through?
Yeah. We have like the 2x outbound campaign using our outbound signals versus the company's existing signals. That was in one recent one was in like the CPG space. What they were using is going to like retail websites and finding brands that were listed, which is relatively constrained. We flipped it around and then the system went and found every company that had a store locator on their website and then ranked and scored them by which stores were in the store locator. So very specific to them, wouldn't make sense for anybody else. And we were getting about 2x better reply rates. So their outbound and LinkedIn campaigns significantly improved. For the larger enterprise companies, the same scoring model for 2 companies was between 15 and 17% higher close rates. So they were spending more time on good accounts that ended up closing at a much higher rate. Before working with us, they were spending about 44% of their man hours or like opportunity time on bad fit accounts because they didn't have those negative signals. So they were spending time, 44% of their time for one of the companies on things that were very unlikely to close, but because of negative signals that they didn't really notice in real time. And it had to do with like tech stack and staffing. And we surfaced those, moved those, and now they spend more time on good accounts, a 17% higher win rate.
This is the piece most teams miss. The signal stops being a signal the moment everyone else is pulling from the same 3 sources. The edge is in the sources nobody has indexed yet, and the work is in knowing where to look and how to structure what you find. Jai, thank you for walking through the build. Links in the description. If you're building in the signal layer, the full breakdown is on GTM Vault. It maps the episode back to the revenue architecture with the specific patterns worth copying and the ones that depend on your stack. Paid subscribers get the architecture breakdowns and the operator playbooks. Until next time.
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it.